Alrighty guys, I've got a few days until I take off to South Australia to hang out with Frizy and go and search for some South Australian gillini in the wild, which will be really exciting. But before I do that, I got a bunch of stuff that I have to do in this room just to kind of prep it before I go. I am still a few days away, but I'm just going to run you through a couple of chores that I'm going to do just before I go. So probably one of the biggest things that you can notice is everything's pretty filthy. Like I've got some horrible water splashes over here. There's a few kind of like nuggets and things hanging around in enclosures. You know, sand's looking a little bit grubby and stuff. The other thing that I need to do is I need to feed up some of my girls. You notice that some of the girls are a bit skinny at the moment. Well, I've just been inundated with Gillen's eggs, which is definitely not a problem, but some of these girls, I just want to whack some weight onto them before I go. So what I'll probably end up doing is giving them a bit of a treat. I'll probably do some scrambled eggs for them and we'll feed them out in this video. Something too, if you haven't noticed yet or you didn't know yet, is I do have a male Kimberley rock monitor as well now. He did come up from Frizy, and yeah, we got a bit of a breeding loan type situation happening with these guys. He's a stunning looking lizard. He's probably one of the best Kimbos I've seen in Australia, to be quite frank, and yeah, absolute cracking lizard. So hopefully soon we can hopefully try our hand at breeding some Kimberley rock monitors, because that's definitely not something that I've done before. Hello mate. Little black-headed monitor just hanging out here. They see me in the room and they're like, oh, food's on guys, food's on. But yeah, I need to clean a bunch of these guys up. Something else that I really need to do is I need to replace my UV light globes. So it's been a little over 18 months now of running these light globes. Now the reason I get away with that is because I can actually run them, or I run them less hours a day, so it just kind of creates a longer life of the globes. But can you notice here, this one's just gone out, like literally a day or two ago. So I've got a stack of light globes from Get Your Pet Right. Jerry over at Get Your Pet Right's absolutely sorted me out on some UVB light globes, so I'm going to replace all the ones that need replacing in this room, which is a fair stack to be honest. And I want to make it a bit more accessible too. I'm thinking I might try, I don't know how I'm going to work it or how easy it's going to be, but I might try to actually get the UV inside of the enclosures, just because it'll give a little bit more punch to the animals. But the other thing too is just being able to actually do it. I won't have to wheel these enclosures in and out, because right now to get behind all of this, it's a bit of a nightmare. I've physically got to get into the hole or the cavity that is in between these monitor enclosures. The ones over here aren't too bad. That UV is fresh, so I don't need to tinker around with that. I need to replace the top one up there, and I'm pretty sure I need to do Sonic and the shingleback. Like the ones in these enclosures up here, these guys are going to be horrible to get into, so it is going to be a bit of a mission. And I might just see if I can, I don't even know if I've got clips to be able to mount them inside. I might even just have to jerry rig it with some zip ties or something, you know, a little bit ghetto style if you will. But yeah, we're going to get stuck in. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go and make some scrambled eggs, so then it's got time to actually cool down for the lizards to consume it, because they don't like hot eggs like you and I. So we'll get stuck in, we'll do a little bit of that, and then we're going to go and clean the reptile room. Okay, so while those eggs are cooling down, we're going to get stuck into this reptile room. I'm just going to time lapse this. You guys have seen me clean this a million times. I'll quickly show you some tools of the trade as to what I'm actually using to clean this reptile room. Alright, so as far as procedure goes, it's pretty easy. I'm going to just strip out all the water bowls, chuck them in a sink, get them ready for cleaning. Usually just to scrub out the water bowls, I've just got like kind of like a heavy duty brush like this. It's pretty easy to do. I'll give them a quick going over with some F10 and stuff like that, just to freshen them up. Now with that as well, I've also got a bunch of cleaning equipment for inside of the terrariums. For larger lizards that do larger poos, I tend to use just a regular old sand sieve. And for all the little fine particles, or for a tank that might potentially have a bunch of like roach poo or something in there, if there's a few woodies on the loose, I tend to use a fish net. I've got varying fish nets. This does sift sand really well. This is a good way to get your sand super clean. It's probably my favorite go-to. Downside with this is it does make everything quite dusty in the room. So I like to protect my lungs. I've got a pretty heavy duty dust mask here that just stops all that red sand, the fine particle sand from these enclosures and stuff getting into your lungs. You need to breathe, so you know, I try not to kick it up as much as possible, but that's what I use there. And for like any of the termite mounds, or you know, fake rocks or anything like that in the enclosures, even the logs and such, I'll actually give them a going over. If they've got like a bit of feces or a bit of urate on them, I'll give them a going over with a toothbrush, and I basically just wet down or try to hose off any of the urates. I do this all first too, before sand sifting. I should mention that, just because then if chunks fall down, you sift them up, you know, work from top to bottom essentially. So yeah, pretty simple stuff. We're gonna hook in, get this done, and we'll meet back here shortly. Hey, I might just chuck a podcast on and get cracking.
I spend my Mondays like Fridays. I spend my Fridays in a box with my heart on my whining. I put my pinings on pedestals to the keeping them grounded. What's that mountain to nothing? Let's make something from nada. Let's go to Gucci and Prada. Set the buildings on fire. Screaming death to designer while we listen to ponder. I'm on a grown man, baby face, kind of a tantrum. Spreading like cancer did, and my father's skeleton. Damn, friend, I ain't sad that he come while I'm crying to help with him. I ain't good at embellishing, I'm more better with medicine than a spoonful of sugar. Watching everything go down, that's a long way. Pray that I never see the ground.
Alright, spent a little bit of time actually cleaning up the room. It's not perfect, but it's definitely going to do for today. There's a little bit of glass and stuff like that could probably use a bit more of a thorough going over, but you know, a little bit of dirty glass isn't going to kill anything. I just wanted to get like bulk feces and stuff out of here, give the water bowls a good proper scrub. So they're over in the sink still. But the biggest thing I wanted to do today was get some of these UV globes actually into these enclosures. So Get Your Pet Right, obviously a channel sponsor. He's helped me out heaps with some more UV for this room. So we've got a stack of UV globes here, but the biggest thing that I want to try to do, I'm umming and ahhing about this. Hey, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it so neatly. So I might just have to bite the bullet and just kind of climb behind these things and sort them out. But I've just turned off the UV globes for now, just to let them actually cool down, the ones that were in there. But yeah, I'm going to have to actually get in behind these enclosures and get into the back of these to get these UV out. But you know, you're not doing it all the time. So once every few years, not going to be the end of the world, or once every couple of years thereabouts. I just want to make sure that I kind of reposition them, make sure that they're in the kind of right positions above where the animals can actually use them. I don't know, I'll kind of reassess it as I go and just kind of check out what I want to do. If I can kind of seem that it's feasible to get them in, or I might do that. If not, I might even just source some clips to do it more neatly, because I don't really want to go making a whole bunch of holes through the mesh and stuff like that with zip ties if I don't need to. Yeah, anyway, let's get stuck in. Let's get some of these UV globes in here and we'll get on with our day, shall we? So a few of these are definitely easier to get to than others, but one of the ones that I have to get to, which is a bit painful, it's not horrible, but I have to get into the one that runs across the top of these enclosures here. The easiest thing for me to do is take off the bug containers that I've usually got on top, actually pull up the shelf that they sit on. I have to actually undo the clips too, like the kind of support structures for the shelf, just to allow me to have a little bit more room to turn the fixture over. Quick pop of the globe. Now it's just a matter of trying to find the easiest way to get it out in this circumstance, through all the LED wires and down. It's hard because I've got so much going on. I've got, you know, like the Miss King fittings, I've got the LED down, the LED light bar, I've got the warm LED lights as well for the ramp up, ramp down, you know, all the heat light fixtures, all this sort of stuff. So there's just so much to kind of juggle, and you try and push that shelf up. So this one's a little bit more difficult than it probably needs to be, but I seem to love punishing myself with that sort of stuff. Yeah, I was pretty desperate to kind of redo the room with everything. So when I reached out to Jerry to say, hey, have you got some UV globes I can grab off ya? He was more than accommodating. It can just be kind of hard because I can't really see what I'm doing 100% of the time. Alright, I got it. Do we have it? I think I've got it. To be honest. That actually wasn't as bad as I was expecting it to be, which may come as a surprise to you. I was expecting that to be worse, sure. Shelf down, get some of these tubs out of the way because I got all my cricket tubs and things on the ground at the moment. Alright, that's probably the hardest one on this wall to do. The rest of them are pretty much plug and play. So when I put these Gillen's enclosures together, they actually, when I did it all, I just popped a new UVB globe straight in there, so I don't have to worry about that one. And Billy's one recently blew, I'm going to say within a month ago, so I don't need to redo his. So on this wall, the only other two that I need to freshen up is Sonic the Bearded Dragon and, of course, Acorn, my shingleback. So we'll do Acorns first, because he's the second hardest on this wall, if you want to call it by difficulty. First thing I need to do is take off these light shields. To be honest, I actually think this is going to be the hardest one on this wall. I'd completely forgotten about how tight the space was behind this light shield. Like, under here, like look how tight that is. That's like finger tight. There's no way I'm getting my hand under here. Now from memory, I think what I'd done last time when I replaced this globe is I actually slid his enclosure a little bit forward and took it out through the back. This is the problem that I have in my mind. I'm like, I'll make everything nice and tight and fittable. Idiot. I shouldn't have done it like this, but you live and you learn. Learn from my mistakes. That should hopefully do enough space. It is the furthest light over the back, so it's the first one that I can grab off. I'm gonna have to open up all this and somehow slide in around the back there to get this globe in. Not looking forward to it. Oh, by the way, if you think red dust gets everywhere, you're 100% right. Look at the amount of filth that's on top of this tank, and that's just from doing the odd sand sift here and there. I need to get a vacuum into this. Well, before putting that all back, I just wanted to check that that light was working. May as well have checked that one up the top there too. Happy days. All right, back to the shuffle. Well, this one's going to be an absolute walk in the park. It is the upside of having your globes internal to enclosures, especially when you've got enclosures stacked on top of each other like I do. Oh, Sonic, you're a dream, mate. I love your digs. So we've got a nice, what do we got here? We've got a nice 14% going in with Sonic. Obviously being a taller enclosure, there is no harm at all in having something that is a little bit more of a higher output. This is what I put above the shingleback too. Desert species, you know, they do need that kind of output. Now with the little goannas up the top and the depressor, that was only a 12% globe. Unfortunately, I couldn't get my hands on some 14% in some certain sizes, but all of these little 60 centimeter tubes, these are all 14s. That's not how you should take out your globe, but it's not uncommon for these light shields to kind of come away from their housing, but they do simply just click back on. Got there eventually. Now let's plop this in. There we are. Well, I'll quickly jump off the phone here, get into the grid connect system, and I'll turn these UV globes on this side of the wall just to make sure everything's humming along. Can be a little bit hard to make out in the video, but you can kind of just see that that one's all done there. Billy's got his fresh globe, of course. Gillen's have got their fresh globe. Guys up the top have the fresh globe. And I'll double check the shingleback. Yep, they got a nice fresh globe too. Happy days, mate. Bit of fresh UV for you. Well, that makes a few more enclosures to go in here. Then we should be done. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I'm secretly hoping I can actually reach these with my tiny little ladder that I got here. I don't like my chances, but we'll give it a crack. It's because they're so like far over the back of the enclosure as well. I'm thinking I've had a bit of a rookie error here. I might even try to get this inside of the tank, just because this is a bit of a mission. Like, granted, it's like once every 18 months, but I don't want to be doing this. Alright, let me have a tinker.
long day. I swear there's a better me around. Just gotta grab it. This is magic. This is switch from lost and found. Make my baggage do a backflip, stick the land and hit the town with my homie smoking spliffs until our lungs burst. We some songbirds who made our way out of the cage. We all some dumb nerds. Probably should get to acting our age, but where's the fun in that? We going fishing for dreams we kept intact, skipping plans, playing hooky on school day.
Yeah, this is definitely a fair bit of work, but how's this? Get your pet right, saving the day again. Found a stack of clips. They don't fit all of these fittings perfectly, but if you bend them the right way, they do clip on. So happy days. Hopefully I should be able to have enough clips to get everything into position where it should be, and hopefully never have to do this again, or never have to kind of like separate it like what it is now.
It's like a school full of shooters. Keep it all on the loop, like a rapper producer. God watch it and he laughing like it's all a big joke. Maybe that's the way to tackle all this hardship on the road of life. Like if something isn't going right, well then that's the way it goes. Don't need a hook for this sermon. I think these words are too perfect.
Man, I tell you what, you guys are lucky that this isn't smell-o-vision, because this room is stifling hot at the moment. Without the fan on, it's pretty unpleasant. But I'm glad I went through all that effort to put those in. I have to flick them on and actually see if they all turn on now after doing all of that. But hopefully it makes it a little bit easier in the future for me to change out these light globes. This one up here, I did have to kind of use a couple of zip ties just to hold it in place temporarily, just because I didn't have enough clips. I was one short. But yeah, I'll get a couple more clips. Well, that is certainly going to make things easier going forward. It's actually going to be a very welcome change to be able to access these quite easily. There are a few tweaks here and there that I might need to make, but for now this is going to definitely do the job. And I'll tell you what, it's actually brightened up the enclosures a whole heap. Oh, there you go. It's time for them to turn off at 2 o'clock. Well, yeah, I suppose I can always flick those back on, seeing as the girls and guys here haven't had UV for a little bit now. And yeah, we might get into feeding a few critters a little bit of egg, just as a bit of a treat to put some weight back on them. There's a couple of little heads poking out of this log just here. I will just see if they happen to be interested in a little bit of egg. Because it's getting a little bit later in the day, it could be a little bit hard to get these guys on camera because they start getting a little bit shy later in the day, which is a bit funny, but that's okay. These girls will be super keen to get some of this protein into them. It'll hopefully help fatten them up a little bit, get them back into action and fighting fit. After laying all of those eggs, man, I've got a stack of eggs at the moment. I think I've got close to 30 monitor eggs in the incubator. Should be a bit of a fun breeding year for me. It'll pretty much double the population here. It's definitely brightened up these enclosures a fair bit, just having these light globes actually inside of them. The good thing about these UVB tubes as well is they actually put a fair whack of UVA out, which is obviously usable as a visible light to these guys. Most of the monitors are actually being pretty shy at the moment too. I mean, I've been mucking around in their enclosures for a little while now, so I'm not surprised if they don't want to borrow me. We'll see if we can get one of the black-headed monitors out. Oh, I can see a head, Fleeting glimpse. Whoops. Most of these guys and girls are being pretty shy now, so I'm just going to leave a bunch of egg in the enclosures of the animals that actually need a little bit of fattening up, and pretty much call it a day for myself. Yeah guys, I hope you enjoyed this little maintenance video. I know I don't do these videos too often. Yeah, if you did like it, make sure to like the video, put a comment down below, tell me what you think or what your favourite brand of UV globes are. I'd always be interested to know. I actually really rate these ones. They do a great job. They keep my animals nice and healthy too, and it is going to be easier having these globes actually inside of these vivs, as you can see. If you want to support the channel any further, make sure and go check me out over on Teespring as well as Patreon. You can grab yourself some merch and some early access videos as well as extra content over on Patreon. And yeah, until next time, take it easy, and I'll catch you then.